What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be talking about the Bitcoin price chart, albeit briefly, while it sits back at the support levels, still hanging in limbo on whether this is going to be a back test or some type of trend change happening here for Bitcoin, still just remaining in that limbo stage. However, of course, the bigger things going on in the market right now have been what the altcoin market have been doing, especially Ethereum back at its all-time high, still bucking up against it for these last couple of weeks. We don't just remain that way with Ethereum, of course. We reside up here for total 2, the market cap of the altcoin market, and up here for total 3, the altcoin market excluding Ethereum. So the big question, of course, is this thing ready to bust out here for Ethereum? And if it is, it's likely an indicator of what's going on with the rest of the cryptocurrency market at the same time, as Ethereum is the number 2 by market cap, just behind Bitcoin. But I've been spending quite a bit of time showing these charts of the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ versus Bitcoin, all up in here with the purples and the blues and Bitcoin. And then down here, of course, what do we have? In green, you have the Russell 2000. In red, you have the altcoin market, talking about that big dynamic that's happened throughout the market with the lack of breadth over the last 4 years. That's why it's been 3 years and 10 months since the altcoin market has set a new all-time high. Vastly different from what 4-year cycles and block reward having narratives tend to be. There's never been a time where we've gone 3 years and 10 months without the altcoin market breaking out. I think the longest is 3 years and 4 months. But of course, historical price behavior shows you that these things are all intertwined with each other, and that the big thing we're obviously waiting for here in the market is, we could stare at all these like crypto charts individually all we want, but what we're waiting for in reality is a broader breakout to happen over here in macro markets, and that there's become some type of rotational trade that takes place here where the Russell 2000 ends up being the recipient of most of the rewards, or of course that all of the bigger indexes also take a pop at the exact same time. It doesn't really matter. As we head into the last trading day of the week, the Russell 2000 has come up 40% off of those lows from the tariff sell-off back in April, and we're just a mere 3.35% away from the all-time high. And so we started this by talking about Bitcoin being in somewhat of a limbo, Ethereum in that limbo, total 3 in that limbo back at the highs, total 2 also in a limbo back at the highs. And what are we really just waiting for everywhere clearly is to see that we can get broader markets to break out and to take the cryptocurrency market with it. So for me, staring at smaller time frame charts when it comes to crypto or individual assets, I've been spending less time doing that these past few days and spending a whole lot more time sucked into these charts like the Russell 2000 or the S&P 500, and that the parabolic moves over here on the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, all that stuff, it really just kind of, it stalls out in here, and this becomes kind of our range levels all throughout here. The biggest similarity I can draw to that would be like going back to 2014, 2015, 2016, albeit this is a much longer range for the S&P 500. In things like this of course is where Bitcoin does stall out in here once this range is hit, and then once this range is definitively left, of course that's where Bitcoin goes and follows along with it, with the crypto market, with the Russell, and that's really just kind of where we've been right in here. Is that our parabolic rise in here for the S&P lost its speed and its momentum once we entered here and then entered into a ranging context. Bitcoin, no different. Same spot, it slows down, still entering into a ranging context, finally backtesting those levels at the same time. So I see things happening over here on the Russell and over here on the S&P 500 that it's like, okay, are we going to definitively leave this range? Because you can kind of see where we're at currently right now. We're just kind of bucking up near the top of it right now. Can we get an actual definitive break to come from the S&P, and then a definitive break for that last 3.5% for the Russell 2000? And if we're able to get those to happen, well, you can argue secrets upon secrets and block reward halvings and partnerships all you want. I'll just simply be giddy because this is the thing that does impact the market. And right now, we know where we're at currently right now is we're just like stuck on everything. And it's not like we're stuck in a way where we're like sitting on supports and we're like threatening to break them down, right? We're bucking up against all of it, right? The Russell's little move down here that started on the 28th, right? It's gone back through all the retracement levels in here. It's not like it's sitting down here, like threatening to continue moving down or something like that, right? We're bucking up against the top, but we're still just stuck, at least in pre-market here on Friday. And so it's like this major milestone moment happening in the cryptocurrency market, because if we just shift up a little bit in here, it's not like it's just some other move to the upside happening in markets. Or if we just shift up a little bit with the Russell 2000, it's not like it's just some little move happening here in the market. It's like this major milestone level that we've been in for crypto for just under 4 years, right? 3 years and 10 months stuck in here. And you could see it over there in Ethereum, right? If there's like one more break to happen in here, that's a major milestone to happen for Ethereum. If there's another break happening in here for Total 3, it's a major milestone for the altcoin market, even excluding Ethereum. And if there's one more break here in the Russell 2000, it's a major moment for breadth in equity markets. And so we're just like right there. It's like we're still living in this long-term nightmare of 3 years and 10 months where the breadth has not just like completely and utterly widened out, but you can clearly see it. We're just underneath it. And like that next move, that next high, that isn't just some normal next leg. That isn't some normal next move. It's a very significant move happening, not just for Ethereum, but also for the altcoin market, for the Russell 2000, all of it. And of course, we're all just sitting here in limbo watching it. So I'm, of course, obviously sucked in on the thing that is unequivocally the correlation to our asset class. And that's the equity markets and what the dynamics of the equity markets are like and how that translates over here to the crypto market. And knowing that we're right back at the high with Ethereum, we're right back at the high with the altcoin market. Well, what else is it? And what's likely going to be the catalyst that ends up doing it? It's likely going to be the Russell 2000, potentially even over here with the S&P 500. And that if this becomes a true range escape in here, it could be coming for the rest of us too. One thing I have noticed here on Friday is that the expectations have now shifted up to practically 100% again for the rate cut. The 2-month yield is obviously implying that as well, along with the 3-month yield. The 3-month yield is now down to 4%, which of course is a 25 basis point rate cut. Who benefits the most from the rate cuts? It's those small and those mid caps. So as we sit here heading into the weekend and we're all probably sitting there staring at Ethereum, it's like, well, where's the wave count? Where's the thing going to take it out? And what's going to be the bust out move to happen in here? I think we all know it. It's going to be this thing. It's going to be the Russell 2000. And so for the coming days, this is where all my focus is. And it's just like in November of 2024, where, the Russell busts out, XRP, it is time, you may send, everything goes, right? We're back to those levels again where we were at back then. And of course, we're back to those levels again with the altcoin market. But to get the true escape, to get the true pop and run, you know what we need to do. And that's what I'm focused on right now. So without over talking about it and not like saying too many words or putting my foot in my mouth, that's obviously the thing that I'm paying attention to. But one of the other dynamics of the markets that's so important is something that I've even written about in newsletters. I've made videos about. This is one of those newsletters that's actually public. It's not behind a paywall. So if you get like a free account over there at Substack and do like the free subscription to blockchainbacker.substack.com, you get access to this one, which is Bitcoin and gold as a store of value. I wrote this nearly 3 years ago. I've made YouTube videos on it with gold. Like there is a direct inverse correlation that happens in here between expansions, between gold, and between the equity markets. So as we're sitting here with these equity markets trying to bust their way out, what do we likely need to be seeing happening here at the same time? Well, it's a reversal happening over here in gold. So the thing that we've talked about is like once this thing got here in April, it made the very clear signs of what happens at a 5-wave parabolic ending. But the big discussion as we've been ranging in here for months is whether or not there would be a short squeeze for one last push to the upside or if the breakdown would happen from here. And clearly we've gotten the short squeeze. And so now all we need is the evidence here that this is going to reverse. And if this is correct, right? Think about this just from the bigger context of it all with the inverse relationship between gold and the equity markets. If this is right, if this is the final short squeeze ending to gold after its last 5-wave parabolic ending to conclude this thing right in here, then we'd be looking at a much bigger reversal happening on gold. And a bigger reversal happening on gold historically implies favorable conditions for the equity markets. So we could sit here and talk about, saying, oh, we want to see the Russell breakout. Oh, we want to see equity markets do this. And we want to see Total 3 go with it too. But it's more than just those pieces of the puzzle, right? We've looked at this whole puzzle for many years. 2022 is when this is put together, and I've been talking about it since way before 2022. And if I'm right that this was the final parabolic push with the short squeeze, then it would imply we are likely at a stall out period period happening here for gold. And if that's the end of the trend for gold, then it sets up the door for the equity markets to actually be able to take over. So as we head into Friday, if we see some majestic move happen here in broader markets as we close out the day, then we could probably look forward to a kind of an exciting weekend. If things are kind of stale, probably going to be a stale weekend throughout the cryptocurrency market. But all eyes are really focused on how does the stock market finish itself today? Does there become some bigger breakout happening over here in the S&P 500? Does there become some bigger breakout happening over here in the Russell 2000 as it's bucking up against these heights? If there is, probably an exciting weekend for crypto. If it stalls, we'll just go touch grass and enjoy, hopefully, the beginning of a little bit of fall weather. But that's my focus for today. And of course, that's what we'll be looking for coming into the next week. And everything is just fingernail biting. It's sitting back and knowing that we're living within this dynamic right now. And there's this big decision to happen throughout the market. If a bust out to the upside happens, I don't think it's like hey, this is just a little breakout happening in here. I think this is the real one. But there's always that danger, of course, when you're back at those all-time highs, you're back at such a major resistance level. They're not easy to get through, right? They're rejection levels. But in the event of it actually busting out there with Confluence, with Ethereum, and with the Russell, well then, I think we're finally going to be back to those phases of everybody singing Kumbaya and holding hands, but we still have to wait to get there. And so that's the things that I'm watching for today. That's my big focus for the remainder of today and as we head into next week if we don't get it today. And hate it or love it, the data tells you your crypto bags are dependent on it. So we'll keep our eyes on it. So I think the things to pay attention to for the rest of today, and then as pre-market opens up again there on Sunday evening, is going to be gold and, of course, the Russell 2000 and the S&P 500. I know for many people that's a stark difference from what you think of when you think of the cryptocurrency market, but all the data shows the correlations between those two. And if we get those things to line up in there, it's likely very, very optimistic for crypto. But we've got to see those things happen, and hopefully we can see something emerge today. If not, then we'll look for it on Sunday night and into Monday morning. Otherwise, that's what I'm watching for, and then we'll check in on it again next week. All right, that's going to be it for this one, guys. You can check out the newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Most recent one is altcoin market cap races to historical all-time high with Russell. Russell surges with Dow Jones, Bitcoin teeters, Bitcoin dominance rotation, and one big trade. This one is a little bit longer. It includes a 35-minute audio recording that I personally recorded. There's a link down here in the description of this video to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys Monday morning, and I wish you a wonderful weekend. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.